What's going on, guys? This is Chris Weidman. I appreciate you checking out my channel and the latest episode of my podcast, Won't Back Down. I've got a great show planned for today, but before we begin, let me tell you about our show's presenting sponsor, BioXcellerator. BioXcellerator is the world leader in stem cell therapy and regenerative medical research. Through the use of their powerful golden stem cells, they help patients heal from joint and orthopedic injuries, autoimmune disorders, spine and disc damage, and neurological trauma. I recently just got back from Medellin, Colombia, and it was such an amazing experience. First-class experience between the staff, the stem cells, the hyperbaric chambers, the massage therapists. It really was an amazing wellness trip for me, and I'm excited to get all my joints back to brand new. I highly recommend it to all the athletes out there, anybody who have any injuries or autoimmune disorders. Please check them out. They are truly working wonders out in Medellin, Colombia at BioXcellerator. Thanks again to BioXcellerator for helping me create this show, Won't Back Down, which is also available on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. How you doing?
Yes, pleasure. Yeah, been good. Been working hard. Then got injured. That was a biatch.
Yeah.
Well, you know all about it, right? You had back surgery even.
I've had neck surgery. I've had 2 neck surgeries. I haven't had lower back or anything like that surgeries, but I've had issues. And then obviously I've had tons of other surgeries, like lower leg surgeries.
Shit. Yeah.
So wait, what's going on with you?
So I had deadlift. I hurt my back. It was a disc, so I got treated, and then they do needles and they chiropractic. But I was in the U.S. and in the U.S. they're just not as good with these things.
They can't. There's too many regulations. Probably is that.
Well,
I feel like that's a big issue.
They just do not have the expertise, and then there's another thing. They want to do surgery because surgery is where they make their money, right?
Of course.
Back surgery, 50, 60, 80K, 100K. You were in that. I spoke to you before about your injuries, and I said, listen, I have a guy in Holland who adjusts with his hands, and this method is really awesome. So I just flew back to the Netherlands. I just got here, 3 weeks ago? And I'm actually right now 100%, just since an hour. So, but before that, it was just annoying. Treatments and pain. Also had a pinched nerve. We know how that feels.
Oh, it's the worst.
So, yeah, training has been as. What's that?
No, I'm saying there's nothing worse than lower back.
Yeah.
Lower back is the freaking worst pains, bro.
Yeah, because your energy's gone, and then motivation goes.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's been annoying the last couple of weeks. But on the other hand, I've had a beautiful career. I've never really been hurt. Yeah, I had some broken hand. I had some things here and there, but in general, I was always good. So yeah, it is what it is. It's all good.
Yeah. So what are they? So other than what did you get, like PRP or stem cell or anything in the lower back?
No. So the way they treat here in the Netherlands is I have physical therapists. So the physical therapists in the Netherlands, they treat more with their hands. So they will loosen tight areas with their hands, with their elbows. So it's like a massage.
Yeah.
And then my guy also includes dry needling.
Yeah. Yep.
So that is now popular in the States, which is like a game changer already. But then I have another game changer, which is orthomanual therapy, which is chiropractor, but then better, more precise. I'm actually not allowed to see a chiropractor because they're just not precise enough. And the way that they adjust is, it's very raw, right? They're just cracking using force, and that can actually hurt you more. So I'm not allowed to go see a chiropractor. I will when I'm in the States because there's no orthomanual therapy. I used to fly my guy in, but then because of COVID, it's difficult to do that right now. Yeah. So that's why I'm doing my rehab in Netherlands. And happy. I think I'm.
What's the therapy called? What?
Ortho. So ORTO.
Ortho.
Manual therapy.
Ortho manual therapy.
Yeah.
And it's just more precise chiropractic work. So they're adjusting your lower back.
So there's a lady in the 70s. She passed away. Her name is Dr. Sickens. She was a real doctor, and she just had in her head, I'm gonna solve these vertebrae, these pelvis, these back issues. So she started documenting her whole thing. She had students, they had students. She taught her son. Her son treated me also once. This is already like 3 years ago. He passed away 2 years ago on cancer. And she created the Sickens method. That's what it's called. So it's orthomanual therapy method.
Gotcha.
Sickens, her last name. And basically there's 70 people that know this method. 35, half of them is good. 35 people is excellent. The other half is less good. And they use their hands to correct to diagnose you at first. And then secondly, to correct you. And they have their ways of doing that. And it doesn't hurt. They use sometimes a hammer and a phrase. Sometimes they use their hands. And the big one that they can do is your pelvis. Your pelvis is like this, right? 2 parts. And it can be crooked like this, but it can also be crooked like this. So, yeah. And that is the biggest game changer that she kind of deciphered. It took her 16 years to figure out how to correct the pelvis. They do not have that information in the States yet. They need to get that information. Actually, one of my goals after I'm done fighting is to introduce this method to the States. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I was already talking with the UFC a little bit about it, but that kind of, COVID hit and then everything just went quiet. But pelvis. So when the pelvis is crooked, your spine is going to go in an S, and it takes all your power away, and you just feel miserable, and it's just awkward. And I've had that happen 3 times in my career. So it happened the first time 20 years ago, and I'm young, right?
Yeah,
and I'm kind of going to physical therapists and going to chiropractors, and they're just treating me. They don't really know what it is. And then eventually I got to the first orthomanual doctor ever that I met. That was Van der Bent. He's in Amsterdam. And they told me, you need a physical therapist. You need to go see Van der Bent. So I went to see Van der Bent. And this is something that bothered me like half a year, almost a year. And the first meeting I met with him, a little older gentleman, I think was 50 at the time. She was probably 70 now. I don't even know if he's practicing. But he said, listen, I'm going to diagnose you. Finish diagnosis. He said, yes, your pelvis is crooked. It's going to take me 3 treatments to get rid of it. This is a problem that's bothering me like almost a year. Taking away training, taking away motivation.
Yeah.
So that's a Monday. That's the first treatment. Wednesday, the second, and the third one on Friday. And then it should be solved. And the way he said it, the way it was done.
Wow.
On a Friday, it was solved. Whereby other doctors told me, yeah, you have a weak back. You're going to need to learn to live with it. I was like, weak back. Look, I'm 20, 21 years old. Who believes that? Look at that. Right. So I just kept searching, kept looking. And then I eventually got to this method. So very thankful. And then I had it again in 2012, or actually 2013. I had it. 2013, I had it. And then, so this is the 4th time. I've had it 4 times. And then I had it again in 2000, I think 17 or 18. And then again now. Right? Because that crooked pelvis can come at any moment. It can come by a deadlift, but it can also come, for example, you're walking on the beach where it's sloped, and then you misstep. Usually when you're a little bit tired or when you're a little bit older, people will also have be more susceptible to it. And then your pelvis clicks like that, and then you need to fix it. But then in US, they believe in surgery, right? Not good. No, it's not good.
Yeah, I
Who
agree.
had surgery? There was another fighter who had surgery too.
What neck surgery you're talking about? Aljamain Sterling?
I don't know about him, but I think it was you who had neck.
I had neck surgery. Yeah. Ellenberger had had herniations. Ellenberger had neck surgery. Who else had neck surgery? Man.
But they're fusing the discs.
Oh, Yoel Romero got fused. I know that. He has a fused neck. I don't have a fused. I don't have a fused neck. Okay. I have an artificial disc that they put in. So basically, they take out the herniation that was pushing on my nerve. I had the worst pain, but worse than pain is I had no strength. My strength on my left side of my body just went. And so the way they explain it to me is that if you have the weakness for a certain amount of time, that could last forever. So you have to make a decision pretty quickly. You got to make sure you got to get that get that herniation off that nerve as fast as possible, because otherwise you'll be stuck with weakness. So they ended up doing a artificial disc replacement where they took the disc out and then put in this new disc, which is just a little titanium disc, and it still allows you to have full range of motion. It doesn't affect the disc below it or above it, which is a big issue with when you fuse something. So it fixes the issue because now you have no joint there; it's fused, but then the rest of your back ends up getting, having issues. 10 years down the line. But surgeons, that's what they want to do because it fixes the issue, and you're going to go and you're going to play your sport. You're going to do whatever you want to do, and you're not going to complain for at least 10 years. 10 years later, it doesn't matter.
You're screwed, right? And what do you think about 20 or 30 years later? Everything you do, in my opinion, your body is perfect. Everything you do to alter that is going to cost you down the road.
I think you're right.
Yeah. That's a little bit the problem with the healthcare system in the US. So in the Netherlands, we have a different healthcare system. And in the US, it's just simply broken, right? It's broken when they want to do surgery on you. It's like, I don't even need surgery. So, but they want to do it anyway. And then, So, but listen, I've been very fortunate to grow up here, right? Because that just decides my mindset. And for every injury, I just went back to the Netherlands, or I flew my guys to the US. And therefore, I only have one surgery done. Is that correct? Yeah, one surgery done.
What did you have done?
I had bone splints in my elbows.
Oh, I've had that done
was
too.
2014, that was. Bone splints in my elbows. And all the other stuff, my physical therapy and orthomanual therapist got rid of.
I think you're right. The problem is I grew up in the US and I've now had 25 surgeries, which is not good. It started with stuff that may have been preventable, like when I was wrestling when I was a 15-year-old kid. I had my first surgery because my meniscus was getting caught inside my joint and locking my joint. That's what they thought was going on. But now I'm hearing from different people, more holistic approaches, like people with more of a holistic mindset, think that it may have not even been my meniscus that was popping into my joint. It was something else. I forgot what the name of it is, but it's very common.
How old are you now, Chris?
When you're going through puberty. I'm 37.
Yeah, 37. That's a lot of surgeries for your age, man.
Bro, it's a lot.
Because how many fights you got? 30 fights or something?
No, I don't have that many fights at all. How many fights? I'm 21 fights.
I have 94 fights.
Yeah, you got me smoked.
95. I didn't 94 or 90. I think I have 95 fights.
And that's kickboxing, MMA.
Fights. Kickboxing and MMA.
But I will say this though. I know where you're going is that you have 95 fights, you only have 1 or 2 surgeries. I have, 21 fights and I got 25 surgeries. It's crazy. But I do think wrestling is the worst thing for your body. And I've wrestled my whole entire life. I've had thousands of matches in wrestling. And I think wrestling really takes a toll on your body, especially if you're not focused on strength and conditioning. And I hated strength and conditioning. It was never competitive enough for me. I wasn't like naturally the best at, doing bench press or squats. So it's like, I just want to go live. I'm beating the guys who are stronger than me in the weight room anyway. So I'm just going to focus on that. But I think to hold your body together properly, like your joints, and not having joint issues in the future. And, I think it's super important to go strength.
Are you a little bit afraid of, in 20 years? Crap.
Nah, you know what? It's going to be what it is. I lost you. There you go. I think it's going to be what it is. I'm just trying to get by today. I'm trying to get by today.
That's a little bit, it is what it is because we got to figure it out, right?
I'm hoping that they have really high level technology by the time I'm 50, 60 years old, because bro, I mean, there's no question. I'm going to be paying big time for what I've put my body through during these years, for sure.
Yeah. I got to watch that too.
So where are you training now, man?
So I'm training. I was actually just in Denver. That was camp.
So you're training. Who are you training? Was it with
Team Elevation?
Okay, with
Team
Whitman?
Elevation?
No, with no.
Christian, Cody, Elliot.
Okay, yeah.
Team
and
Elevation.
is that where you're doing your kickboxing training? That's going to be your
yeah. And I flew some guys in from the Netherlands. So and now we're going to. I don't know about next camp. We're going to figure that out, but probably I'll do a little bit of both. Same, right? Netherlands a little bit and then Denver a little bit. I like the high elevation benefit that it gives me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Now, when did you leave Greg Jackson's?
2018.
2018. And what happened there? Was there issues or just
no? There was no issues. I just thought that the plateau was reached there. I had that feeling a little bit for a while, and I had I had 2 losses, and I just felt it was not going to get any better. And there I already was compensating a lot. So I was flying in a lot of people, a lot of coaches, a lot of sparring partners. I was organizing a lot from my own training camp. So yeah, and then so if it's not working, you need to do something, right? You need to change something. You're not gonna keep continuing a losing formula. So I had 2 losses. Even though I know I was putting everything in my power to winning these fights, winning these camps, but it was just not working out. So and 0 bad vibes. Wink, very straightforward guy. I actually still like him. Greg, never really built a relationship with him. He was in my corner one time. That's also the reason why I start flying in other coaches, other people, right, for the support. The team was fine. Team was nice. Holly's awesome. John Jones is a cool guy. 0 bad vibes, right? I didn't get along with Orlovsky. We sparred once, and yeah, there was like a little bit of an attitude, a little bit thing from the get-go going on. So then they came with the fight. I was like, yeah, I'll fight him, no problem with that. I didn't like him anyways.
Oh,
and we
that's
didn't train
right.
him,
That's
right.
We
didn't train. We didn't train at all. So, and then it was kind of funny because then the coaches, I had my own guys in there, right? So we were just gearing up to fight Andre, and he was with Greg and with Wink. So this was kind of, they were cornering him, but I kind of knew that Greg at that time was, I don't know how it is now, but at that time was very very occupied. So many fighters, so many stuff happening. So yeah, this was all good.
Was Jackson not cornering you the whole time because of Orlovsky, or just because?
Well, okay, so he cornered me the first fight. That didn't go well. That was Ben Rothwell. And then after that, I started making adjustments, flying in other people. And then the Orlovsky fight happened 2 years later, whatever. And then he texted me he said, yeah, well, he actually texted me before the fight. Yeah, I'm going to have to go for Orlovsky with that one, but we'll pick up right after that, right after the fight is done. But we never did. So we never really, yeah.
I could see you and Orlovsky. That's 2 alpha males. That's going to be a weird mix in the gym, I feel like.
Well, I'm a positive guy. I'm a very positive guy. I can get along with anybody, but if somebody has an attitude, I can even forget that once or twice. But if somebody keeps doing it, I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
And I will do that.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, to me, him, yeah, it's like whatever.
Yeah, I know. There's sometimes you get a guy like that in the gym where it's, they have this presence, and you gotta kind of like, bow down to their attitude a few times here and there.
I totally get it, because we're all alpha, we're all champs, right? He's been UFC champ.
Yeah.
But everybody's different. Everybody's different. Like. And in the end, you're all guys, right? You're all boys playing around, wrestling, playing, striking techniques, good energy. We're teammates. So yeah, but I never had that feeling from him, with him. So yeah, I was all good fighting him. All good.
That's awesome. So talk to me about the way the UFC ended up working out for you. So you only lose 1 fight in a row, and then obviously they have the right to cut us anytime. We have no rights, you got an 8-fight contract. You win a fight, you lose a fight, I think they could cut you. So they end up releasing you. Now, did you still have fights on your contract when they released you?
I did, actually. I did. And I was under the impression to finish my career at UFC, but they had different plans. Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't that crazy though? That's never happened. Like, it's just recently now that has happened, where they're cutting big name fighters. Obviously, you make a lot of money, who still have fights on their contract, and they're releasing them to the world. So now you're in a free agent market where you can make a lot of money. You could leave them, and you could, take your viewership somewhere else. that never happened before. Yeah, I know they did with Yoel
No,
Romero recently too. He had fights on his contract. They let him go. What's your
yeah, but
thoughts on that? Why do you think they're doing that?
to be honest, Joe Romero is a little bit older than me, even.
Yeah,
Tremendous fighter, tremendous athlete. That
yeah,
exciting to watch. But even the same with me, we're like a little bit older, right? So I
yeah.
understand it's time for a new fresh wind, a new talent. I have so many fighters, so many awesome young new fighters. So I totally understand it. Maybe they were like, yeah, we want something fresh, something new. So I don't know. They still have Arlovsky after all these years, so I don't know what's going on there. But in my case, I just thought, you know what? We've seen Alistair. Let's get rid of him. We've seen enough. It's
Yeah,
done.
but I don't know. I just feel like I get what you're saying, but I also think that they could get a lot of viewership still out of you. You know, they could set up some big fights, you know, still with you.
Yeah,
And then also if they wanted to an up and comer that they're trying to get a big name, they could hope that he would win against you. I feel
yeah,
like that's kind of what they were doing in the past, and now
yeah,
they're just saying peace
yeah,
out.
yeah. Correct. Yeah. It's a little bit of mystery to me too.
Yeah,
We never had that talk because they're not really communicative, right?
yeah. It's
Then
hard.
they don't have that therapeutic aspect. No, they're
Definitely
gonna do
not.
what they're gonna do, and they have the full right to do what they're gonna do in their company.
Yeah,
Um, they've always treated me very fairly. Otherwise than that, it's very difficult to negotiate with them. But I don't know. In general, I'm satisfied about the period. And now it's on to the next chapter.
yeah. I mean, you're a guy who has fought, you know, all over the world. Pride, Dream, K1, Glory. How do you compare the UFC and working for them as opposed to, well, even though we don't technically work for them because we're independent contractors, but being a part of that promotion compared to these other promotions, and now you're with Glory, how does that compare?
Well, they are absolutely huge, right? The biggest MMA promotion, but you know, if I look at the other promotions, okay, K1 didn't pay me my prize money. That's a lot of money.
Oh
That
man, they didn't.
400K check, they never wired.
I think I
And they never
remember
banked.
this. This
They
was
never
about the
banked.
time you were heading to the UFC, or like, was there you had management
Yeah,
issues or something?
year later, like a year and a half later, I was in UFC. So yeah, I you know, I have a good memory. If promotions don't pay, and the dream title fight as well.
And you
If
never
it's
got that money. You were never able
no,
to, you know,
no, there's
lawyers
a
and
lot
all
of
that
money.
crap.
There's a lot of money. So in that regard, UFC always pay their bills. There's an argument going about fighter pay. I I understand it. I understand, but they're paying.
Mm-hmm.
Other
Yeah.
promotions are not paying.
I
So
agree. And even, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I know some inside info on some guys, you know, they're with, like, you know, the one championships, or there's just other organizations where it's a lot of money, but there's also stipulations inside the contract where, you know, if you're fighting MMA, this is how much you're getting. But if you're fighting kickboxing, this is what you're getting. And now all of a sudden, if you're going to be making, like, let's say you're making $1 million to fight MMA, they only want to give you that kickboxing fight if the kickboxing fight is $30,000, you know, and they're going to push
yeah,
that on you,
yeah.
that type of
I don't
stuff.
know. I don't know anything about ONE FC. I never dealt with them, so I can't.
I'm not
But
speaking about
it's
one. I'm not, no, just ONE FC. Oh, all these different, just any organization. I'm not
well,
throwing.
I just know that it's tricky,
Yeah.
right? And then UFC is a certainty, and it's the biggest platform. I'm a fan. It's the the hardest competition for sure.
Mhm.
So, and yeah, it's tough. It's a tough organization to deal with, but it is the biggest organization. It is the organization. So, no, I just want to be honest. Want to be clear. Yeah, they're tough, but the life is tough.
Yeah, I agree. Um, as far as organizations go, when you left the UFC, how to go with like free agency? How long were you in free agency for, and what was that like?
Not long. A lot of organizations reached out, so there was a lot of interest straight away. Yeah, I just directed it all to management, and yeah, I have to say, but it was like a lot of talk straight up.
Yeah, and you were happy. You happy with your deal with Glory now?
Yeah, I think
Gotcha.
Glory is becoming very exciting, most exciting kickboxing at the moment. Of course, with me added, there's some other heavyweights added in the roster as well. they're doing huge events. So their event that I was gonna fight is what is that? 38,000 people, big soccer stadium in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, it's huge. So yeah, I was very excited to make it the full circle back in the Netherlands, where I actually started. My first kickboxing fight was in '97.
That's crazy.
Small arena, 200 people in there, something like this. And now it's like huge, 38,000. It's going to be massive on the TV. So it's cool. For me, full circle. I finished where I started. And for the fans also.
Is it like a certain amount of fight deal where you're exclusive to them, or you could go other organizations? Like if you want to go take a boxing fight against Logan Paul, are you allowed to just go do that?
I could actually do that, yes.
Really? All right, there you go, Logan. Alistair's free. Take him.
Nah, he doesn't want any. I
think you're
he's
right.
doing good. He's going to do good business, but of course he's picking and choosing his guys, right? Small wrestler guys that don't really.
Well, and Logan Paul, he's the older brother. He's the one he fought Floyd Mayweather. He weighs about, I don't know, like let's say he weighs 210. He fought Floyd Mayweather, and I don't know if you've ever been around Floyd. He's small. He's
tiny. Like 155 or something.
Yeah, tiny dude.
160. Yeah.
I don't think.
So that's all orchestrated. That's all, and good for them, right? Good for them. But they would never, if it becomes threatening or dangerous, they would never do it. They would never come into MMA. They're doing something that they kind of feel that, hey, this is kind of like the cards are stacked on my side, but they would never take a risk to really get hurt. Like what 100%. We're doing, right? The real fight against a real killer. And then time and time again, they're doing the safe, easy playing part.
Yeah.
It's not real fights what they're doing.
I agree.
If you're fighting a guy who's 50 pounds less, and Mayweather is known to win on decision, right?
Yeah.
Win on points. That's different than fighting Francis Ngannou or Fedor Emelianenko or the beast that you've faced, right? So they're just filling around. They're making a nice name. They're attracting a lot of things, a lot of people. They're making a buck out of it. Well, congratulations. Yeah. But other than that, it's this what it is. To me personally, I don't stay up to watch these fights.
Yeah,
not at all. I did watch Conor because that was an amusing fight, Conor and Floyd. Yeah, that was cool. Mm-hmm. But the YouTubers, I don't know. I don't really. It's a different generation too.
Yeah, if you watch one of those fights, so I guess you didn't see Frank Mir fight. He fought somebody on one of those fights. He did a boxing fight. Did you see that?
I didn't watch that fight. I saw some pictures on Twitter, but I don't know.
The thing with that event, I think it was the Triller event. They just the commentators were all high as hell. So you got all these commentators who are they're smoking, they're probably drunk, whatever, they're out of it. And they're literally making fun of Frank Mir. And it was terrible to see. They're like, this is a guy, a Hall of Famer, a guy who's been around for a long time. He's older now. He's doing something boxing. He was a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's not a boxer, but he's in there trying his best. And they're literally making fun of him. And I'm like, yo, this is fucking terrible. There is a professionalism that comes with, in like especially the UFC and some of these other MMA organizations. Yeah. There's a professionalism there. Yeah. In the Triller event and these YouTube, fights, it's not there. So it'll make you sick to your stomach if that type of thing bothers you.
Well, I don't even watch it, right? To me, the power to ignore is perfect. If I have to watch all that stuff, no. I just do not watch what I think is irrelevant, and that's actually quite some things. So I'm not bothered by it.
That's funny. Yeah. What so is kickboxing now? Just kickboxing training? How's that going? How is that?
I've been training,
what's that like?
Since the vocal fight, last fight. So I took like a month off after that fight. Was a little bit damaged, recovered, and then just started kickboxing. So I'm not really wrestling. Sometimes I'll wrestle. Sometimes I'll grab some guys and I'll play around a little bit, but in general it's just kickboxing, strength conditioning. And so
what does that training camp look like when you compare it to MMA? Obviously there's less things you have to do, so what's the training look like?
You're perfecting what you're doing, right? You're doing the same thing a lot of striking, kicks, knees.
Are you punches. Running and are you doing like running and stuff like that or no?
Yeah, running, sprints, long distance.
Where's your mindset at with sparring? Obviously, we all grew up in the era of just beating the shit out of each other. I'm sure that's kind of how it was, sparring when you were starting out. And now a lot of people don't spar at all. And if they do spar, it's, play sparring.
I think sparring, you have to watch your brain. That's important. And we're thinking 20, 30, 40 years long term. So I don't really spar as much. I don't think that is good. But there's so many other things you can do, right? So many other drilling you can do. I just don't think that getting hit is a good thing.
So is it zero sparring before fights these days?
No, I'll spar. I'll definitely spar.
Is it hard sparring, or is it like, people you trust, you hit somebody with a good shot, it's chill?
Sometimes a little bit hard, but back in the days, it was like 2 or 3 times a week hard, and now it'll be, let's say, once a week or once every 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Have the brain recover.
I'm the same way. I used to spar 3 times a week hard, and then as I got older, smarter, you learn from more people. It's more drilling. A lot of play sparring. No one's getting hit crazy hard, and maybe once a week, good hard one. But you could go hard with the wrestling, you go hard with the jiu-jitsu, it's different things you go hard with, But I agree, getting hit in the head, it depends. Like, if you're one of those guys that you're just like this slugger that's in there, and you're getting punched every day and sparring, leaving sparring with headaches and stuff, it's terrible. But if you could spar, not gonna last. How many guys have you seen like that, man, throughout your career, right?
Yeah, I actually have a friend. I'm not gonna name him, but didn't see him for a couple of years. He was a fighter like 20 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago, 15 to 18 years ago, and I hadn't seen him for 5 years. And I saw him, and I was like, oh shit! Right, so there was visible damage.
And more with like his mental. You're saying the way he was talking and just all that.
Yeah, reacting.
Yeah, that
the
sucks,
look in the
man.
eyes.
It sucks. Yeah, I got a buddy too. Again, I won't name names, but yeah, it's sad to see.
Well, that's a little bit the reality check, right? We're getting older. That's a little bit the surgery stuff too, right? We have to like fighters are not really usually long-term thinkers. I definitely was not when I was 20 years ago. But as you get older, you need to start thinking long-term. So what I'm doing is not good. Fight 24 years, better 10 to 12 years. Yeah. So I need to retire. Yeah. I need to retire soon.
When do you so before I'll ask you about that, but so you go over to Glory. This is the new promotion you're with. It's the best kickboxing, on the planet. Going back to do something that you haven't done really in 10 years, but I think you haven't lost your last like 5 or 6 fights, I think, in kickboxing against some of the best guys in the world. So it's like a fresh start with something that you haven't lost in a really long time. And you're fighting Rico Verhoeven. I don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce his name or not, but they call him the king of kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
He really is unbelievable. But so what's your thoughts? How are you feeling about a fight like that? Taking this type of time off.
Yeah, very good, very optimistic. I've seen many of his fights. Strong guy, strong cardio. In general, not a finisher, but he is winning his fights, usually on decision. Of course, we in MMA, we analyze fights, I think, a little bit more particular than in kickboxing, because in MMA, there's just more going on. So our view is very broad. And I'm seeing opportunities. I'm seeing weaknesses. So feeling very good, very, very confident. Training was going very well right up until the injury. And now you shift back a gear back, recovery now, but then back on Norse, and then I'm gonna go for it. Rico is now fighting Jamal Ben Saddik, so that's gonna be a good fight. They fought twice before. It's 1-on-1, and I don't know who's gonna win, but I'll be ready for the winner.
How do you compare these guys to like Spong back in the day, Saki, Peter Ertz? Where do you see the talent level at in the heavyweight division?
Okay, so Jamal Ben Saddik fought Peter Arts, lost, which was a very amusing fight. You can go on YouTube and watch that. And then, Saki, Spong. It's all top level. It's all high level, right? Saki and Spong have fought. Rico fought Saki as well. Spong he didn't fight. But, yeah, exciting fights. All
So
tough fighters.
but you don't think the sport of kickboxing has evolved in the last 10 years to where like a guy who hasn't been in it for 10 years is like a fish out of water coming in, even if he was top
Well,
notch.
let's not forget that in MMA, of course, we are also striking, right? So it's not that I have disappeared for 10 years, but I was training, was just doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And as you can see in my fights, I'm striking a lot in my fights. It's not that I'm only wrestling. So striking is a big part of MMA, and I've been doing that. So
My point of bringing it up is that MMA is like such a new sport, right? So you see the evolution so quick. You know, the last 15 years, it's amazing how it's evolved. But if you look at like boxing, you take a guy like Muhammad Ali, you throw him into today's day, I think he's doing all right. You know, I think he's not a fish out of water. I don't think boxing has evolved as far as the technicalities behind it, like an MMA has in the last 20 years. And I'm thinking like kickboxing is kind of similar to boxing with that. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. It's kickboxing is one dimensional, and then kickboxing is, I would say, 2-dimensional, and then MMA is 4-dimensional, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot more going on, and a lot more to be aware of, a lot more dangers, a lot more weapons to be used. So yeah, a lot more unknown factors.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot more competition too.
So
which is now slowly shifting a little bit, because there's obviously a lot of kickboxing guys now too. But back in the days, I mean, how many guys had UFC on the roster? But yeah, and kickboxing back before then also was huge, right? Back in the K1 days, it had like there was unlimited karate guys going into K1, and it seems that those karate guys now went into MMA because that's kind of like the new hype. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe the next hype will be the bare knuckle. Everybody going into that.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, that's as, I guess, real as you can get, but there's no MMA. You know, it's just bare knuckle MMA is probably the next thing that people are going to get into. And then weapons. Then you need swords. That'll be the
shotguns.
Yeah, that's it. Then you go to guns. Yeah, it should be freaking interesting what happens. I think kickboxing is one of the most entertaining sports to watch as far as martial arts goes. And in the United States, I don't feel like it's really took to where it should be. And hopefully, Glory is able to do something to really get it promoted. And I think picking you up is a big part of getting that American audience really involved. What do you think? What do you think the holdback is with that? I mean, there's nothing. Everyone in America wants to see knockouts, and they always love boxing. MMA is, it's got its knockouts as well, but kickboxing is where it's at. If you want to see best strikers,
it's all about the promoter. Listen, even MMA can be very thankful of Dana White because he did it, right? He was not alone, of course, the Fertitas, but you need a strong person to do it. And I think maybe in kickboxing you have a strong organization, but why not strong person too? Maybe 2, maybe 3.
So who's the owner of Glory?
That is Pierre Andurand.
Is he the promoter too, or they got somebody else who does that?
They got some other promoters. Yeah.
Gotcha. And is there a different guy for American Glory?
I don't know. They had a US team or have. I'm not sure of the status now. I don't know if their plans. They did some events in Chicago, in Denver, in LA. So I've had events all over. But yeah, listen. That's what I mean. It's not easy to build a brand.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
I agree.
Right? There's so many factors, so many different aspects to the game of it. So
yeah. So obviously you're supposed to fight this weekend. You got injured. What's next? I know you see him feeling better now. When do you think you're fighting again?
Recovery mode. Probably not a week. Then I'll start training slowly again. I need to get to some sort of baseline. And then we're going to announce the fight, right? So 4, 5, 6 months, something like this.
Is it that you're fighting the winner of this 100%, or is there someone else that's a possible opponent?
I have no idea. But,
Gotcha.
my focus is getting better and just getting back in the gym. You know how it is when you're not training. I don't know. I love to train. It's also an outlet. It gives me my dopamine. And I'm not having that for the last couple of weeks. So for me, it's all about getting better, getting back in the gym.
I know there's some people are out there that have never really trained to where that's all you're focused on is eating healthy and training hard. It's a drug. You know,
Yeah,
there's an addiction
it's
there.
great. You see the progress. You're actually physically working, so you're tired at the end of the day. You sleep better. Dopamine working. It builds confidence. I recommend every child to go do BJJ, learn how to defend yourself. So really, really big supporter of BJJ as well. Of course, not really doing that myself, but anymore. But after I'm done, I'll definitely be getting my black belt. I'm a blue
Awesome.
belt right now.
Really? With the guillotine choke, I mean, you've choked out tons of black belts with your guillotines.
We submitted
Nothing?
a couple of guys, but I'm officially a blue belt.
Is it because you just don't go to gi classes?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Always no gi.
Yeah, I'm with. Yeah. Well, I got my black belt, but I was pretty much a no gi guy. The beginning, I started with gi. And I love gi because I think to learn the basics and like the small nuances of jiu-jitsu, I think it's important to learn with the gi. But then when you start doing just MMA, there's a lot of things. If you're a competitive person, which I am, I know you are, like, you know, if you start getting gi choked and now you got to learn the defense to gi chokes, you know, you're wasting time doing that as opposed to, you know, focus on MMA related jiu-jitsu. But it's a great art. I think I'm with you. I highly recommend all kids.
For the kids is awesome, right?
It's ridiculous. I mean,
for the kids is awesome.
If you had to pick one thing, I mean, if you don't understand how to stop, look at Hoist Gracie. Look at the beginning of the UFC. Jiu-jitsu was the best because everyone just knew one thing. When everybody just knows one thing, jiu-jitsu is really a problem, man.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to get someone off your neck or your arm, you're in a bad spot. And it doesn't matter if you're big or small. You know, like a small guy, the small guys are some of the hardest dudes to deal with in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, I'd much rather go with the big guy, you know, than have this dude. I just, no matter what I do, I can't pass his guard. And somehow he keeps taking my back. I'm like, what the fuck is this little, and they don't get tired. It's unbelievable, man.
It's awesome. Even, you know, in Denver, we have Easton's, awesome level, amazing level. And these are normal people, normal.
I know.
Dads,
not coming from athletic backgrounds.
And they're good. Their level is good. And what about these Gordon Ryan types? They could go into the UFC immediately, right? Because they're just awesome. They're good.
Bro, I used to work with Gordon all the time, you know, when he was up and coming. It was good. It was good work. And then one day he came back and he turned into it. He was a different human being. He was a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. And next thing you know, I just remember it was the only time really I felt so helpless in jiu-jitsu. He passed my guard slowly, went to mount, and just postured up and looked at me. Like, what is this guy doing? He killed me.
Next level guys.
Next level. It's just they just have such a method to it. You know, it's just they have it all figured out. You know, especially with the heel hook stuff. That's I think the easiest way to explain it is that no matter you know, and I like a lot of the heel hook guys. I'll try to heel hook them. You know, but the really good guys, when I go for that heel hook, they just know that position. They're light years ahead of me. They're just so much better. They know exactly where to turn their foot.
They're going to be chilling, and you're going to be doing whatever. And then it's their turn.
Bro, it's a science. It's a beautiful science. All right, last question. So, about retirement. You talked about retirement. Where do you see yourself in retirement? What are we doing for retirement?
I love to teach. So I've been giving seminars forever, the last 20 years. And I've actually also teach. When was my first class? I think like 2000. I started teaching. So my Muay Thai coach 20 years ago, back in the day, said, "Yeah, you need to find a student and then one of the team." So I found another guy on the team. You're big. You want to work with me? So I just worked with him three times a week after my session. So I would first move on a session, then I would work with him. And I don't know. I just like it. I love it. Giving is receiving. And I just think it's positive to teach. And to be honest, you know, I have a great career, a lot of experiences, up and down. There's actually for me not much else to do. I don't like to work. I don't want to own a company, right? because that feels like work and responsibility. But I love being on the mat, and that's something I can do. And I'm not thinking of teaching 8 hours a day. I'm just thinking teaching 3-4 hours a day, same rhythm as I am in now. But then, you're working with other people. That will keep me moving. That will keep me tired in the evening. That will keep me on the diet. And I just want to stay in that lifestyle, stay healthy, and share my experiences with the next generation. And to be honest, I think they need it too, because the next generation I hear is a little bit softer than us. So we need to have them go through adversity, right? On their own path, on their own way. But they need to learn that. They need to learn to fight through.
Well, this is the true last question. I know I already said that, but you spoke about ups and downs in your career. If you had to pick, because one of the big parts of my show is, talking about tough times, getting through it, pushing through adversity. If you had to pick one of the lowest points in your career, what would it be? And then how did you get through it?
Well, I've had a couple low points, but one that immediately jumps to mind was 2000, and when was that? 2006-07 was really bad, and I'll tell you why. So I had my daughter was born, oldest daughter, but she was crybaby. Every night for 6 months straight, no sleep.
Oh my gosh.
So that drained me, that drained my relationship at the time. And then everything just sucks and everything is just bad. And then in the day, there was nothing going on, but that night, it was just every night drunk. So you get overtrained, you get injured, you're losing fights, 3 in a row. Your contract at Pride at the time didn't get extended. It got bought by UFC, by the way. But yeah, that was a real hard. That was really hard. My mother, on top of that, got cancer, a very aggressive type. So breast cancer. So she needed to get chemo and all the treatments. And I was told she had 6 to 12 months to live. So it all hits you at once, and that is a little bit the thing. When multiple things is hitting you, it's tough. It's tough. Right?
Yeah, man. That's
so you gotta fight through it.
Yeah. How did you get through that? What did you do? Is it just get into the gym and focus on training, or what do you feel like helped
you? Training. At the same time, there was another thing going on, because there was another thing. I made a wrong real estate investment. That drained me financially. So there was no money. There was no, and there's no backup. So in some cases you had to fight. I'm sure you recognize that as well.
Yes.
So you have to fight, otherwise there's no food on the table, so to speak, right? And you're already minus whatever. So that was tough. It was tough. And there was light at the end of the tunnel. I'm very blessed and fortunate with good people around me that you choose yourself, right? But you have to invest in them as well. Have great people around me, and then it's just time. You have to, it is what it is, and you're just gonna have to get through it. And then, let's say like a year and a half later, actually I turned it around when I won the Strikeforce belt. That was, when was it again? November 2007. So that was a year and a half I was in it.
Jeez. Yeah. Brett Rogers, right?
No, it was Paul Buentello.
Oh, okay. Wait, when you fought Brett Rogers, didn't you?
Yeah, that was 2010, but 2007 I won the Strikeforce title.
Gotcha. Okay, well, man, I appreciate you doing this. I won't take any more of your time. But... No, man, that was awesome. That's the type of things that people need to hear. People just they look at us like, we don't understand like real, their issues, and we all have, life issues, and we still, go out there and fight, and we put on good performances, put on bad performances, but nobody really knows the stuff we're going through, No. So I think it's important for people to hear these things.
Yeah. Adversity, fight for adversity, right? And to close on a positive note, I really became good at getting myself dialed in. So there's the training part, there's the financial part, which is a whole other war at itself. and then also the other problems that drain your energy, right? When your mother's sick, okay, you need to get through it. It's a problem. But and my mother, by the way, she healed. She got the whole thing: chemo, hair loss, radiation treatments, but she actually survived. So, and then she got cancer again for 6 months after, and she survived that too. So sometimes it's time, but you have to just keep fighting through it. Because if you're gonna just sit there and what is the other solution? Sit there and give up?
Feel bad about it.
I think we're fighters for a reason. We just don't give up, right? We don't. Even you, with all your 24, 25 surgeries, you're still in it and you're still doing your thing.
Yeah.
So
they ain't stopping me.
Yeah.
They ain't stopping me.
No.
Well, I'll be feeling it at some point, but they won't stop me.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I really appreciate you doing this, man. It was great talking to you, and I look forward to seeing your fights in glory and everything that is to come.
Chris, hey, thanks for your time.